first solo episode of 2023, and I'm so grateful I get to continue to have this ongoing conversation with you all. So, I started solo podcasts last year, a few months ago now. Before that, all I did was guest interviews, essentially, and I'm still doing them, but just not as frequently. I just felt the calling to share this conversation one on one with you, and for me to jump on here one to one with you and share for a few minutes. So, my guest episodes are typically an hour plus, hour, 2 hours, some of them actually 3 hours. But I love those conversations because it gives you a chance to get into the story of the individual and everything that's going on in their heart and soul. But these individual ones, I absolutely have fun doing them. And all of you have given me amazing feedback. And it just continues to make me want to have this conversation even more and continue to record these conversations even more. But these are shorter ones, few minutes, 5, 10 minutes. And the beginning of this year, it's been a few weeks already, January. And I guess the message I want to share today, right now, what's on my heart is how intentional are you being about your life? So I've got my tea as always. I've transitioned from drinking coffee to herbal teas. I just found that coffee doesn't work for my nervous system anymore, unfortunately. Absolutely love the smell of coffee. But, you know, you got to take care of the body's needs. The body will change over time as well. What you need to nourish yourself will change over time. And so pay attention to that. Some lemongrass and ginger tea. Okay, so being intentional about the year and being intentional about your life in general. Do you have a word? If you could pick a word, maybe you have one already, maybe you don't. If you could pick a word that would describe the energy of this year for you, the intention that you have for this year for you, what would it be? What would that word be? Could be anything. Take the time to sit for a few moments with yourself and just tune in. Tune into your heart, tune into your soul, see what word feels good to you. Rather than setting these big audacious goals, what I find is helpful is to just have a word that encapsulates the energy of the direction you want to go in, because then that energy can almost dictate and guide you in the direction that you want your decisions to go and that you want your life to go in this chapter, in this year. For me, there's two words: stillness and expansion. I'm really learning to build a relationship with stillness and just peace and quiet, just learning to be okay in the quiet and allowing the inspiration to arise in that space and then to take action from that space rather than having a to-do list with never-ending lists of things to do. And it just feels overwhelming, right? So I just got rid of my to-do list and decided to just trust even more and just experiment and see what it's like without a to-do list. And so far, the last few weeks, I'm enjoying it. Just waking up every day and tuning in and feeling into what's the most important thing for me to do right now. Of course, there'll be certain responsibilities that you've got to take care of every day, and that's fine. Absolutely take care of those. But in terms of expressing yourself and your creativity and where you want your energy and intention and attention to go, that's up to you to tune into and decide, where do I want the focus of my personal time to go? And so expansion is the other word. It feels like a very expansive year from all the people I'm talking to right now. It feels like an expansive year for a lot of people, and they're being called to take action in the direction of their dreams. They're being called to take action on the desires of their soul, creative projects, making changes in relationships, making career changes. And I don't know if that's a collective thing, but from the people I'm speaking to, it feels like it may be an collective energy of going deeper into connecting with your authentic self and discovering more of your potential. The other thing that I want to mention on this is, for me, a quick story. And that is for me, what I've realized these last few weeks alone is the feeling of being scared and not ready never actually goes away. You just learn to lean into that experience to discover more of your potential. You just get used to leaning in anyway. The feeling of being scared, the feeling of being unprepared, not good enough, not ready, not experienced enough, never goes away. You just learn to lean in anyway. And if you do that, you start to build a sense of inner confidence. And then you have the confidence to move in a higher and higher and a higher direction and take on even more challenges and discover even more of your potential. And each time you move forward, you're so used to feeling the feeling of being afraid to some extent, but leaning in anyway, that it doesn't hinder you as much. You know, those thoughts may not go away, the feeling may not go away, but that's okay because you still have the ability to lean in and move forward regardless. And I feel like the only way that our individual worlds expand is if we keep going to the edges of our potential, keep moving towards the edge of your potential and ask yourself, what else is possible? What else is possible for me this year? Let your imagination run wild. Give yourself the permission to just play with your imagination. Just play. Take a few minutes on a walk while you're listening to music or in meditation, or take some time to brainstorm on a whiteboard or journal, whatever it is for you, to just explore, how do I feel when I'm playing with my imagination? What comes up for you? What are the desires of your soul that rise to the surface? What makes you excited? And to really begin to take steps in that direction, small steps, not to change your life in 24 hours, because that's not sustainable and nor is it possible. Just tiny baby steps in the right direction. Because as soon as you start focusing on this being a priority and bringing your attention to it, the universe will begin to expand in that direction for you and give you signals and signs and connections and resources and ideas and inspiration in the direction that you want to go in. You begin to really fall into the flow of co-creation. So I'll leave you with that. Be intentional about your year. Be intentional about relationships. Be intentional about the action you take, how you spend your time, how you spend your energy each day, each year. Well, each year, I mean, each month this year. Um, and play with your imagination. And it's okay to feel the feeling of being scared, but learn to lean in anyway and just see what happens. Give yourself the opportunity to experiment. What would happen if you leaned in anyway? Just experiment with it. What would happen? That one thing that you're unsure about doing. Or maybe you don't know what it is yet, but the opportunity might present itself this year. When it does, lean in, see what happens. I love you and I'll talk to you soon.